Today I will show you how to configure BGP in Fortigate, then configure BGP in mikrotik, which is a router, then advertising routes which doesn't exist at all from Fortigate through BGP, and then at the end I will show you how to do route summarization. So stick with me to the end of this video. This is Hossein Azar and welcome to my channel. BGP route summarization, one of the topics in routing which is needed when your routing table grows so huge and degrades the performance of your device. Imagine you have really big network with thousands of subnets advertised from one router to the other one, and this makes your RIP so big that it degrades your performance. So what people do in big networks, they do route summarization, where you can just summarize the route instead of advertising hundreds or thousands of the routes from one router to another one. Let me show you how this works. Imagine a very simple network where we have a Fortigate and mikrotik connected to each other. They are in the same subnet, 192.168.2.0/24, where Fortigate holds .1 and mikrotik holds .3, so they can ping each other and reach to each other. On Fortigate we have 4 sample networks and we want to advertise these networks to the mikrotik. So Fortigate starts advertising these routes toward mikrotik, and if we look at mikrotik's routing table, we can see we have 4 networks each /24, and the next hop is Fortigate. If you look closer, these networks are one after the other, so we can summarize those networks to reduce the routing table size of the mikrotik. Now the point is, on Fortigate I don't have these 4 networks. I'm going to advertise networks from Fortigate to other routers which doesn't exist. That's also something we are going to learn today. So what we'll achieve at the end of this lab, it will be the summary of the networks, and the routing table of the mikrotik will be shortened to have 192.168.8.0/22. The next hop gonna be Fortigate as well. Let me show you in the lab. So I have put mikrotik and Fortigate side by side so we can check the configuration and the changes at real time. As you can see here, I don't have those 4 networks configured on my Fortigate. So the first thing is to activate BGP. By default, BGP is not activated, and you have to go to System, Feature Visibility, then hit on Advanced Routing, then on Apply. So you now have BGP configuration in the GUI. If you move here, it's under Network in BGP. Then we have to define a local AS. For the sake of training, I will use 65200. I leave routing ID empty to keep everything simple. Then on neighbors, I will add mikrotik IP address 192.168.2.3. The local AS 65300. Then I will click on Apply. Okay, and on mikrotik I will go to Routing, BGP, and here it is, the configuration. So I will choose a name for this, BGP1, AS number 65300, router ID 192.168.2.3. That's all. Then I will move to peers. Here I will configure Fortigate information. Fortigate instance gonna be BGP remote address 192.168.2.1 and remote AS number . Okay, let's see the status, and it is established. All right, and if we want to check on the Fortigate as well, we can check it on here, BGP neighbors, we can see it is already established. The next step is to advertise the networks. We have to add those 4 networks here. So the configuration has been saved, but I don't see those routes here, which is very weird. Well, typically it's not weird because those routes does not exist in the routing table of the Fortigate. So Fortigate by default will not advertise those routes to any other BGP neighborship. We can check the advertised routes on the Fortigate as well. As you can see here, we are not receiving those routes, but maybe someone has configured route filter on incoming routes. So to make sure Fortigate is advertising those routes to the BGP neighbors, we have a command here, get router info BGP neighbors, the neighbor IP address, advertised router. As you can see, there is no prefix for this neighbor. So to be able to advertise routes does not exist through BGP, we have to do some changes. Config router BGP and then set network import check disable. By default, this option is enabled. End. And if I run this command again, will start advertising those routes. There you go. As you can see here, those routes are being advertised by Fortigate. And if I do this, I see these routes are being advertised. So this was the first step. Now, as you can see, we have 4 entries, one after the other, which are occupying the routing table of mikrotik. So we would like to do route summarization. On the Fortigate, we click on CLI, config router BGP, then config aggregated address, edit. If I do show, I don't have anything here. Edit 1, set prefix 192.168.0/22. Set summary only label. Do end. Let's see the changes. Routing table. Meanwhile, I can type this. Yes, as you can see, the changes has been applied on both sides. So now we have summarized our routes and we have smaller routing table shared between other neighbors. Thank you so much for watching this video today, and make sure you hit the subscribe and like button, and don't forget to watch the future videos.